As we discussed last week, conflict is inevitable. However, how many people on your teams are deliberately making mistakes? To be honest, it's like zero. And if they are, then you need to get rid of them. However, we tend to jump to this conclusion right away. We believe when deadlines are missed, it's because our teams are lazy. Or when our people show up late, it's because they feel entitled. But in reality, that's not the case. The deadline was missed because of poor communication. Our teams show up late because no one properly set the expectation. But because we have imperfect people leading imperfect people, we tend to believe the worst. But the best teams are aware of these imperfections, and they make sure to address these 3 people concerns before addressing the problem. First is communication. As George Shaw states, the biggest problem with communication is the myth that it actually took place. Most often, conflict arises from poor communication. So don't assume anything. Check for clarity and then check for it again. The second is our perceptions. What we think of and what we look for, we'll find. If you believe your team doesn't like you, or if you believe they are lazy, then you'll find the evidence to back it up. So lean into these perceptions often, and typically you'll find that you are the problem. Third is our emotion. How often do we make conflict worse because we send that nasty email or we lash out at an employee in a rage of emotions, only to regret those actions later on? So don't do it. Take a breath, relax, and don't hit send. And remember, conflict is inevitable, and very few people screw up on purpose. So the next time there's a mistake, just stay calm. Check for clarity and address your perceptions. And by doing this, you'll begin building a culture that can lead conflict instead of one that breeds it. This week, I challenge you all to set the proper expectations. If your teams aren't hitting the goals, then how can you better communicate? How can you provide them the resources to help them have success? Or how can you rearrange the people on the bus to set them up for success as well? Regardless, the ownership is on you. Be sure to join us next Monday, and until then, be a champion today.